so you can see who's in charge. Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's a pleasure to see you all here today. Today is a day to celebrate.
There is one thing on the top right.
But that's okay. Yeah? Is it okay now? Okay, so if there's something else, don't tell me. Thank you. Again, good morning, everyone. It's really nice to see you all here today. Today is a day to celebrate. On the background, and that's what you see over there, we have two events that we are celebrating. 110 years ago, Einstein presented his general theory of relativity to the day. Actually, it was on the 25th of November, 1915, in the Prussian Academy. And this led to a profound transformation in the way that we perceive space, time, and gravity. And 10 years ago, based on this general theory of relativity, due to a great effort of many people, we've observed directly for the first time gravitational waves, which is a prediction of the theory and led to opening a completely new window towards the universe. It's interesting that both these achievements lie precisely at the interface between physics and mathematics. General relativity is, at its core, a geometric theory of gravity that has a beautiful mathematical elegance together with an extraordinary physical intuition associated to it. And, of course, the detection of gravitational waves was only possible because of lots of physical modeling, together with mathematical analysis and much data science. And it reminds us that we can achieve a lot when these fields, mathematics, physics, and then the engineering that can come out of it work together. And in the foreground of this day, we have our own local story, which is the celebration of the 15 years of the gravity group here at the University of Aveiro. A group whose work lies precisely at the interface between physics and mathematics, and that has given some contributions, even if in a modest way, to our understanding of space, time, and gravity, amongst other things. So this event today celebrates our past achievements, our current efforts, and our future horizons. And it's really nice to see you all here today to celebrate this, and to have also three people here with us, without whose support this group would not have emerged, grown, or survived the strong gravitational fields of the academic environment. So firstly, we have here Professor José Fernando Mendes, who was Vice Rector for Research in 2010, when the group was created from the Physics Department. We have then Professor Luís Castro at the end, who was the coordinator of SIGMA in 2015, when our group integrated the SIGMA research unit. And finally, Professor Delfim Torres of the Mathematics Department, who has been the coordinator of SIGMA since 2019. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for the role that you've played in helping this group to emerge, to grow, and to keep it stable, or at least long-lived. And with this, I would like to invite you to say a few words, starting here with Professor José Fernando Mendes next to me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So you might find it a bit strange I'm here, but in fact I'm honored to be here because I know Carlos for a long time, certainly for longer than you are. So I met Carlos in Porto in 94 or 95, something like that. So long ago, I was a PhD student and he was an undergraduate student, and he was a really good student in Porto, and he was identified immediately. Then I came to Aveiro in 2002, and so I lost a bit his path. But in 2008, 2009, something like that, I was already director of department in physics department since 2004. And in my mind, because the group, the department focused a lot on material science and optoelectronics and things like that. And in my mind, the group or department to be a really department of physics, to have astronomy, cosmology, and things like that. And so I start with this focus to try to identify people or contact people in this area. And we opened some positions around 2008. I don't know exactly the dates, but maybe Carlos remember this because certainly he has this in his CV. And Carlos applied. And in this time, I also forced that there should be an interview for the candidates, etc. And Carlos came to the interview, and Carlos, you know Carlos is a very expressive person, but we know his talent. He told in this interview that he can give classes of mechanics, statistical physics, nuclear physics, quantum mechanics, etc., etc. And people who was not used to a guy with such a talent said, no, it's too much. You are saying too much, so we will not take you. And so Carlos was not taken this first time. Yeah, it's true. Yes. It's true. Yeah. And then in this application, I think it was your colleague from astronomy. So in that sense, it was okay because I was looking for a person in astronomy and cosmology. And then I was not happy. I opened again a second position, another position, and Carlos applied again. And the persons in this panel for choosing, so they said, well, we don't need to interview him again because we already know him. So something like, we don't want him again. And so I somehow forced to have Carlos in the department. Carlos got the position. So he started in around 2010, something like that. There's an invited Auxiliar professor. I think it was for 3 years or something like that. So he needs a research unit to be part, and he entered the I3N. In that time, he was already I3N. He entered to the I3N, and so he was very successful. The group started this in that time, and he immediately started lots of students, etc. So it's very, very productive, as it is right now. And but then I went to the vice rectory and to the rectory, and so we stayed in the department. And in 2014 or something like that, I don't remember, maybe we know this, we have an evaluation of our research unities. And we have a superb, outstanding classification, something like that. In fact, very few research unities have this outstanding classification. We got this outstanding classification, but there was a recommendation that the guys of cosmology are too much to be in our group. And so we have to exclude the group of cosmology from I3N, that is, in fact, a group of nanoscience, nanotechnology, and nano things. And so I talked with Carlos and said, Carlos, we have a problem. You have to find another research unit. In fact, Carlos have already collaborations with people in Lisbon, in Instituto Superior Técnico, and so Carlos is thinking about moving there, etc. I said, no. We have to find a solution, because I was vice rector for research. I have to find a solution in Aveiro. And then I said, come on, I looked around in Aveiro, where I should put Carlos. And I realized that Sigma is certainly the place for Carlos. I talked with Luís, and Luís, of course, he doesn't know Carlos, his talent, etc. So he told me, okay, let me see, I have to meet with the big boss of the CISM, and I will give you an answer. It took 1 or 2 weeks to decide, but finally appeared with the decision that, okay, we can incorporate him in the Sigma Center. And so Carlos moved to here, and then Carlos went to Lisbon for a while, etc., etc. And you know, nowadays, you know, the impact that Carlos had in the Sigma is very clear. You know, and certainly there is not all people here in the group, but it's a very strong group. Everybody knows. So it contributes a lot to Sigma in terms of international impact, in terms of production, in terms of attracting money from projects, in terms of attracting talent. So in all aspects, you can imagine, in fact, the group of Carlos was a great contribution for Sigma, of course, but also for the University of Aveiro, because it projects the name of the University of Aveiro, and you all together, you contribute all to this, to internationally, to the group Carlos was telling me, but I know that, so he attracts students and researchers, everybody, or even short visits from everywhere in the world, from the best places in the world, so you know that he's better than me. So, in fact, I'm a bit proud that I have a kind of little intervention in this successful career, successful group, and successful research unity, what he contributes. And so I'm happy for that, and I'm, of course, happy to be here in this celebration of the 15 years old of this group. And you know, science is not only great ideas, is also people, good people, but is also focus and be kind of intellectually generous. And I think this is what characterizes Carlos. And so I thank you very much for your contribution, for your focus, for your generosity, for your helping these people, etc. So this is what characterizes really a strong group in science, and I think you do it well.
Thank you very much for the very generous words. Now we will move on to Professor Luís Castro.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. So it's also a pleasure to be, an honor to be here. And time to time it's very good to remember the past, look for the future, as Professor Fernando Mendes just did. You are celebrating 3 big moments. And of course, it's also an interesting group of happenings that you are doing here. But once again, I will try to speak a little bit more about the local part, as Professor Fernando Mendes just explained a part of it. So to maintain and to establish a research group is very demanding, and sometimes it occurs some details in the background that not everybody knows. And even some of the details we need to wait some years to reveal all the story, because they contain some sensitive parts. Anyway, I was scientific coordinator of Sigma until 2018, and indeed in 2014 it appears this possibility of your group enter in Sigma. And indeed, who first spoke with me about this, it was Fernando Mendes. And myself as a person, I completely agree with the athlete, but also told Fernando Mendes that I would anticipate difficulties from part of my colleagues of mathematics. But you know, mathematicians are sometimes very rigid persons and strict persons. And this is not completely trivial to attain a goal when some persons are not completely inside mathematics. We are speaking about mathematical physics, which have everything to do with mathematics, in my opinion. Even myself, I do most of the things from theoretical mathematics, but some parts I do also some applications in my past, for instance, in mathematical physics. One of my subtopics of research is operator theory, but for instance, In the past, I applied operator theory, wave diffraction, and model problems of physics to deal with the mathematical analysis of that. So for me, it was completely clear that it would be even an advantage to Sigma to have your group inside Sigma. And it would be a good solution to the universities as well. But the reality was that it was not 2 weeks, like Fernando in the very positive mode said, that it was some months that took to discuss this inside Sigma. So the structure of Sigma today is the same as it was in the past. So we have 2 main bodies. One is the Scientific Commission of Sigma, where there are all the leaders of the groups and the PI and the vice PI. And first we start there. Already there it appears some difficulties because what is the group gravity doing and what this really has to do with mathematics. I need to explain this in detail. After not one section, but some sections, I succeed to get a meeting where, okay, we agreed to take this to the Scientific Council of Sigma, where, you know, all the PhD members are. And then it was a big discussion in this new auditorium of the vity downstairs, and the pros and contras and etc. And okay, after some time we get an agreement, not a consensus agreement, but we got a positive agreement about the entrance of the group to Sigma. And it was, in the end, it was very positive because everybody speak freely and all the points were put over the table. And of course, some persons, this is typical in science, in the story of science. There are some persons that have some boasts or some afraid of something that could happen. And these are some protection that they mount around them. That it was clear that this was disclosed. But just to tell you a little bit more, so 10 years is not it's not enough time to reveal everything, but but even the name, gravitational geometry and dynamics, it was very complicated to find. Even that, because why geometry? Because there are persons that are doing geometry from mathematical side. Why dynamics? Because we should have a root from dynamical systems, and we still didn't have, and we should try to do it. But in the end of the day, everything worked well. And now, at this date, I'm completely sure that even those persons that in the past were not so positive in your entrance to Sigma, now they are completely in agreement that it was the most positive decision to be done. So I'm happy that I took part on that. I'm happy that Fernando Mendes, that was vice rector at that time, remembered Sigma and got the idea and spoke to me in the first place. And looking back, I think the university, your group, and Sigma, all them beneficiate with your entrance to Sigma. So, looking a little bit far away now, my single position of just a member of Sigma, it is also very clear that your group has a very positive activity. And if I'm allowed to, I would like just to stress out 3 big pillars that characterize you, in my opinion. So first, it's clear that you are doing top quality international research. There's no doubt about it. This is a plus factor also to the University of Aveiro. Second, it is completely clear that your group is very, very strong in training new researchers, which is also, for me, quite a positive action, and it's not easy to do nowadays, even if I'm Sigma. If you look to the number of PhD degrees that you are doing in your group, is impressive. And third, you have a clear, coherent leadership with a great vision of future that is represented in here in the person of Carlos, and this also takes a significant role and of course push forward your group, and I think you are an example even to other groups of citizens. Because all of that, thank you very much. Going on, continue, and all the best for your future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luís, for the very generous words. And now, Professor Delfim, please.
For me, it's also an honor to be here. So, good morning to everybody. So, I think all was already said, but for me, of course, it's very important to be here today because we should honor our past to understand our present. And so, this kind of celebrations, it's always a pleasure for me to be. And today, I think it's today, yes, today, 25 November, that we are celebrating these 110 years. But as already mentioned, it's a threefold celebration. So about the group, what I can say, of course, I remember all these discussions. They are not secret. Carlos was there changing the names, so this is all of us know, at least. I remember very well these discussions about the name and so on. But so in some sense, all groups are, because Sigma works in unity. And this unity is clear, and I would like to mention because, well, it's true that some of you do physics, but you also do mathematics. And let me just mention, for example, today we are celebrating 110 years of general relativity. I went to MathSkinet, that is, in mathematics we have two main databases, one by European Mathematical Society, it's a little more inclusive, but I went to the one of the American Mathematical Society that it's more strict, so it only includes what it is mathematics. So I went because Sigma has a special code, so it's very easy for us to search what are the publications of Sigma. And so I searched what we published, Sigma published in general relativity. And I immediately find three publications, recent publications. So it's good mathematics, they have citations. They are published, one of them by Carlos Herdeiro in this Journal of General Relativity and Gravitation, others by Turalho, José Natário, and many others, Guilherme Raposo, in this Journal of Classical and Quantum Gravity, also in the Journal of High Energy Physics. So you have, it's completely clear that you are well integrated and you do very good mathematics. And then I also search, because the other that we are celebrating, I do another search, because one of the main topics, or one of the topics I think is black holes. So I just search, okay, let me see in black holes, that I know that it's one of the strong topics in your group. So let me see what is Sigma as published in black holes in mathematics, so really mathematics. And I also find 14 publications in 7 years, so from 2019 to 2025. And in fact, it's a span of 7 years. So you have 2 publications every year in mathematics in black holes, with many authors. I identify at least 6 authors, and also with citations inside mathematics. So, because this database considers also other journals, other papers in mathematics citing your work. So you already have 15 citations inside MathSkinet. So this is to tell you that it's no doubt that you also do mathematics. This is recognized, and you are very well integrated in Sigma. This is completely clear. But if Sigma works in unity, it's also clear, and that we also promote some individuality inside the groups. Each group has their own identity, and in this sense, your group is a little different in the sense that all the other groups already exist from the very beginning of Sigma, and you enter a little first, but you also exist before. So in some sense, your group is almost the same age as the other groups. We celebrate 15 years already, Sigma, as a research unit, and you are now celebrating 15 years. So it's a nice moment. So I'm really happy that You are well integrated in Sigma. You have your own identity. This is also very important because I repeat, each group has their own identity with seminars, with workshops. But as Luís mentioned, I think you are a good example. I like always your t-shirts. This is also a symbol of your unity. So thanks a lot for this initiative. I think it's really good to remember these moments that are important. And yes, we are in the same boat. And thanks for for this idea that he joined, because yes, you are very well integrated, and now you are Sigma. You are also part of Sigma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all once again. It's because Delfim mentioned that he likes t-shirts, and we have a gift for each one of you, which is a t-shirt. I'd just like to ask you, which size would you prefer? M, L, or XL?
L.
L? L. And you?
M.
M. Okay, so then maybe take a picture of offering the t-shirts. Do you have a camera? Yeah. Yes.
It wasn't clear.
Okay, so then M for you, L for you, and now with the correct name of the university.
And as you know, I use them. When I go to conference, I'm proud to use them.
I know, I've seen it on Facebook, you know. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. And yeah, did you take some photos?
I did.
Okay. So thank you very much. You're welcome to stay for the program, but I'm sure that you're busy. Yes. So
I wish you a good.
Yes, and a nice workshop.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
And
you.
thanks again.
See you.
Okay.